Right.
Absolutely. Are you
Thank
recording the session?
Yes. Okay. A warm welcome to all of our exhibitors. So before we start, may we remind everyone, with exceptions to the presenter, to mute your line, as these sessions will be recorded and we will be emailing the recorded sessions to you after the sessions. So today, we're very pleased to invite Introdo, our virtual event platform vendors, to host the exhibitors training sessions. Without further ado, let me give a warm welcome to Ruth, who will be delivering the training sessions. Over to you, Ruth.
Great, thank you so much. All right, so the first thing I'd like to do is share my screen and just let me know when everybody sees it. Okay. All right. See my screen?
Yes, we do see
Okay,
it now.
perfect. All
It would
right,
be
so without,
great, sorry,
yes,
Ruth, it
I'm
would
sorry.
be great if you can zoom in a little bit, as the font is a bit too small at the moment.
Yes, so do you have the ability to do that on your Teams? Because I can do that a little bit here, but how's that? Does
That's
that help?
that's perfect. Thank you.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Okay, thanks, Monica. All right, so I think everyone will find that this is a very fun and easy to use tool, and it is very intuitive. But having said that, there are some important tips and tricks to bring up. So bear with me as I show you all the fun things you can do here. So the first thing, very simple, straightforward, is you can put your name in the booth and apply changes. And you can even do a little bit of branding, which can be a nice effect depending on what your branding colors are for your company. So that's very simple. You can either put in the hex number or you can put in the color as well. And then always apply changes. And then a few things to bring up here. So this is the logo area. And you can use a JPEG or a PNG. And you can use an image or you can actually use the space name. But what we would strongly recommend is to always make sure that you have a logo. Make sure that it is in the specifications, which is 200 by 200. And then you would load it and apply changes. And the reason why the logo has a great value is, aside from the obvious with the booth, is that it also is your representative image in the exhibit hall with all the other booths. So it's a very nice value to put that in there, and you'll definitely want to do that. Another thing I'd like to point out to you is, if everyone can see this preview button here, when you click that, it also will take you to preview your booth so you can actually double check your work. And that's also going to be very important. Always double check your work. Save often, apply changes often, and preview often. Double check everything. Okay, so the next thing is about us. So again, this is another very interesting area because it has a double use. You can have it in your booth. Obviously, it's nice to have something that has a description, but you can also have it's also helpful because in the overall exhibition hall or expo hall that has all the booths, when attendees mouse over the booth, they will not only see the logo, of course, which is the representative image, but it will mouse over and show the about us as well. So even before they've come to your booth, it's a very nice way to showcase your booth even before they've clicked into your booth. So just some important little things there. Another thing is custom style. So that's another thing. You have three basic choices that you can choose from. You can choose this, see what it looks like, choose that, and then you apply changes. Okay, the next thing is your front screen. So for the front screen, you do have two choices basically. So you can either put in an image, and that's a nice way to put in some kind of promotional image aside from your logo. Or you can put in a video, and it can be an FLV. But what I will say, what typically we prefer and what seems to work best just in general online is an MP4. Now, videos can take time to load. So you also want to be aware of your personal bandwidth when you're working. I'm sure a lot of people are working from home. So while you're working on the booth, just as a best practice, just make sure that you're on a sturdy connection, close out other browser windows and other applications that you might be working on if your connectivity is a little low, if your bandwidth is a little low, because you do want to have the bandwidth, of course, to build. And it's a very easy tool. The video does take a little while to load, so you just want to be patient for that. And then you apply changes, and then after you've uploaded it, and then you always double check your work. So this is where the front screen would be, and this is an actual video that was loaded. So what we have so far, and I'll show you afterwards, I'll definitely be showing you more examples, but I just wanted to show you as we go through the process. You have your logo here, you have your front screen, and this is the general style. Okay, so the next thing is documents and links. So this is where it does get a little tricky. And let me see if I could show you another site that shows more documents and links. Okay, so this is going to be a two-step process. The first thing you do when you have any documents and links is to put them in a library, and that's basically what this is a library. When you load things in here, they are not showing yet in your booth. This is just where you will load them, keep them, and take from them as needed. And it's a very interesting feature because of what it can do. So let me just show you. This user put in a few different documents and links here. So what you do very simply is you put in the title, a description if you want. Now you do not want to use the subject category and the category area. Do not use it. It does not affect your booth. What this is, just to give you a little bit of an understanding, is a feature that actually affects a completely different area of your event if you have this item, and that's a resource center, and that's the client's resource center. And what that does is it allows your files to flow to the resource center's subject category. So if you do not have that happening for your event, which I don't think you do, then what you would want to do is just put in the, leave this alone, no subject category, no category, because again, booths do not have categories. And then what you would do though is put in the title, the description, edit the tags, and then put in the display order, upload the file, or put in a URL, and then you press Save Changes. Okay. So another thing, so that's where you would just put in little things here. Okay. All right. And then so you have your different documents, you have your little load of documents, and you apply changes, and that's all you need to do. Okay. Now this is where it all comes together, and that is tab content. So you have 10 tabs to choose from and to add to. And what do these things do? So this is how you have your documents and links show. This is how you can get nice and creative and really focus to your attendees on how you want to promote the items in your booth. So the first thing that you would do is press Add New. So you put in the title, display order, you can track the visits, and here are your choices. And this is where it gets super interesting. You can put in an external web page, put in the URL, Okay, best practice here, important tip. Launch in a new window, check that off. And you can also enter a message. If you find when you're testing that URLs are not working, see if this launch in new window message is here. If it is, make sure to check it, save changes, because otherwise it won't work. Okay, the next thing, I'm just going to jump ahead, documents and links. So there's a few here. So this is, again, where it gets interesting. If you have, for example, just one particular category that you've decided to call as one of your tabs. So that's how you would basically make the quote unquote categories, right? So one of your tabs, which is the buttons in your booth, again, you have 10. Let's say you want literature. So then any document that's literature based, you would just check those off, select them, save changes, and now they'll show up in the button here. So for example, let's look at what this person did. So they actually put a tab, called it documents and links, and then checked off all their documents and links. Another thing another user did is they put in a URL here and had it as request a quote. So really, there's a lot of imaginative things that you can already do with the existing functionality. So what's really nice about these the booth setup, the space builder tool, is it gives you a lot of fun options, and it's already built in. So another thing I want to show you that's very important is this. If your public chat room was not already added to your booth, this is the process, very important. It is a 3-step process. And there is a lot of confusion on this. So if the chat room was not already added for you, this is what you would need to do. You would put in the title, put in the chat room. Okay, so again, it's a few-step process. It can get a little tricky. Title, chat room, then you create new, and then you put in the chat room title, and then you press save changes. And then what happens is the chat room tab shows here, and it will show here. And that is the public chat in your booth, where the attendees and the staffers in your booth on the live day can text chat in the booth. And this is what that concept looks like. And what we always recommend, and this is a separate training that would be organized for you, is a specific training for the staffers on best practices and so forth. Like, for example, and I'll just give you a quick one here, is what we would recommend for the staffers is to adjust their font and color when they're responding in the public chat, because it will make you stand out. And everybody who is hyperlinked is clickable, and you can go into private chats from there. But again, we're not going to go too deep into that right now because we want to focus on the building. But I just wanted to show you what a nice, fun feature that is. So we have all these different tabs. And another thing I'd like to show you, and I'm going to jump over the staff one for a moment, but video collection. So if you have any extra videos that you want to add, you can sort them by title or display. You can have them play automatically, loop. You can adjust the layout, video on top or bottom or left or right. And then you would just load your videos, apply changes. And again, that's similar to the library of the documents and links, where you just go to the tab content if there are videos you want to add, and then you just do video, and then you pick your video collection, and that's how that would show up. So pretty straightforward. So here's all the different tabs, and you could see what some of them look like right here. Here's the documents. Let's go back here. Here's the various videos. Pretty cool. Reminds me about how I want to get some exercise equipment. So there's your video collection, and you can put in, as I said, about 10. Some other important points to bring up before we continue is, I'm sure you're wondering, what are the specifications? Well, what's really great about this tool is it really also works as a step-by-step guide. So in addition to the recording that you're getting today, that Monica is putting such wonderful effort in today for everyone, is you also have built-in resources that can help you. So there is a Space Builder help guide, if everyone can see that, and that is a step-by-step guide that explains, again, what everything is. There is a file size guide, which is a nice cheat sheet for everybody. And what Vig has, which also will be given to Monica, is there is an additional 3D booth guide that is also another quick sheet on the file size limits. So I do want to point out that these are really great tools. However, one correction that hasn't made it to the platform resources, which is important to mention, is the video collection. Your videos can actually be bigger than 10 megabytes. As long as they are under 500 megabytes, then you're fine. It does, again, take a while to load, so you do also want to be prescriptive with the videos you're loading. If it's a very big video, how long is that video? You want to also think about attendees' patience when looking at videos and so forth. So this is incorrect, the 10 megabytes. I just wanted to point that out. It is now 500, up to 500. You can't go to 500, but under 500. Typically, I would personally recommend no more than 100 megabytes, because otherwise it does, again, take a while to load, and I want you all to have a wonderful experience building. But just to be aware of that. Otherwise, it's a very great specs here that show you everything. And there's even a system check here too. So they've really pretty much thought of everything, which is nice. Another thing, what is this here? So I'm just not going to point that out. So that we already saw style. Another thing that you can do is add your staffers. So and sometimes we do add the staffers for clients, but if you are also adding the staffers, you have that ability as well. You can add up to 99. And if anyone asks, what is the best practice for staffers and for coming up with that? So that's another thing as you're planning your booths that you want to start thinking of is, what is the agenda for the event? When are other things happening that might take people away from the booth, like webcasts and so forth? When are those things done? So you might get a flood of people. How many people are attending? That will give you some nice ballpark ideas of how to staff your booth. You could put in a lot of people in the booth, but it may not be necessary. Conversely, you don't want to just have one person sitting there throughout the whole day, because that's just that can get tiring for someone. What we do recommend is to plan shifts, have at least a few people, maybe a person on standby in case it gets busy, that sort of thing. But here's how you would add the staffers. So very easy, but there are some very important best practices here, very important. So you put in the name. Now, again, very important here. The email address, the login ID, and the password must all be lowercase email. That will allow for a very easy flow into the event. Otherwise, and Monica, can you please tell me, is this this is a non-password event, correct?
This will become a password event for all the attendees. Yeah, it will be.
It is a password event. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so it is. So what we still would recommend, though, is to just keep it very easy for the staffers in case they forgot their password or that sort of thing. And is to have everything be lowercase email. It keeps it easy. They get right into the system, and then they can always change their password as well. You can also put in their time zone, company name, address, city, state, zip code, country phone. Now keep in mind, and this is also part of the staffer training, but when staffers do log into the event, they will be able to get pre-event access because they are a staffer, they have that ability. One of the things we strongly recommend is for them to update their profile. So you don't necessarily have to put all this in. It's up to you, but they can also adjust as needed in their profile. But what you would do is save changes, and then you're done with that. Before we continue, and this pretty much is almost everything with the booths, I also want to show you marquee messages and search words, but I also want to take a moment to talk about some best practices. So again, you want to make sure that you have a strong connectivity, good bandwidth, and so forth. What are some common issues that you might that might happen to you? So one thing is make sure you're using the right link. There is a space builder link. It is a universal link. But what's really cool is this link recognizes your specific email that's connected to a sponsor builder account, and it will get you right into this type of tool that you see here. So just make sure you're using that. Another thing is make sure you're using the email that was assigned for you. Make sure to put it in lowercase. If you're pasting and you're not able to get in, make sure that you're not adding an extra space by accident. The system reads that as an extra character, so you do want to be careful of that. The system is case sensitive, so that's why I had mentioned the best practice for the staff of having everything be lowercase email. And another very easy thing is the common issues are resolved very simply, many times, by refreshing your screen or clearing your cache. So when you clear your cache, sometimes your computers are glitchy or they want to be helpful, but they're not always, right? So a very easy way, if you're not seeing what you want to see or things aren't working the way you want it to work, is to clear your cache, log out, log back in, paste, open up an entirely new browser window, paste the link in, hand type your login information. All that will serve to make sure that you're getting in very cleanly and get you in to have a wonderful event and a wonderful build experience. Another thing to point out to you is the marquee messages. So this is another thing we highly recommend. This is the marquee message. So you put in various text. You can put in a number of messages. So this is very nice because if you have any promotion items that you want to bring up, maybe there's someone special that's going to be in the public booth chat at a certain time. Things like that can happen. There's no limit to where your imagination can take you with this tool, as long as you keep the functions in mind. What does it actually do? How can you play with it? So you put in the various messages here. You can even control how fast or slow it goes, and you can also adjust the colors. And another thing that's nice is you can even put in search words. So if an attendee wants to put in a search word, maybe there's something they're interested in, your booth pops up, great, more value for you. And then you always apply changes. Another thing I want to point out, and again, this is more for the staffer training, but just so everybody here knows, when you go into your booth in the event space, there is no difference to the experience that you have to the experience that the attendees have, except for really two things, and really very few things. And one of them is that the booth will show no users here. For an attendee, it will actually show who are the staffers that are connected to the booth. So it will show a list of nice, a scroll of people that you click the arrow and you see the next person. But for you, you would see no users, and that's normal. Another thing is that you would show up in the staff tab. So that's really the differences. And there's also a booth staffer dashboard that will show the staffers that they can use. There's basically two ways that staffers can privately chat. There's a very easy way, and then there's the dashboard way, which is a little bit more complicated because it's just a dashboard from that respect. But they're both very good tools. That one has a lot more organization involved. So again, that's for the staffer training, but I just kind of wanted to give you a little preview of what the experience would be. So again, it would be you're the same as any attendee in that you can see everything, do everything. It's the same event link and so forth, but you have obviously some nice perks, and you're designated as a staffer, and you can also get in before the event day. Now I can show you more examples, but Monica, would you like to open it up for questions while I show some different examples, or what would you like me to do next?
So there are a few questions on the chat group right now. So I think the most common questions would be, how do I create a staffer ID and email ID or passwords? So for those who have not, everyone here should be receiving an email with the email ID, and you will be asked to create a password later on. So if you have not received this email from the organizer, please reach out to the sales. We will resend to you the email if needed. I'm just checking if there's any other questions. Okay, so there's another questions on, can we make changes to the booth after the start of the events? I understood that this can be done, but bear in mind that there will be some lapse, meaning it will not be automatically updated immediately. The system might take about 2 hours or so, depending on what the changes will be. So bear that in mind as well. And also there's another questions on networking tools. On this platform, we do have a networking tools called Grip. So when you land onto the platform main menu bar, there will be a tab called networking. It will redirect you to another platform called Grip. Okay, so I guess without further ado, I guess, Ruth, we can go on about a few of the other functions here. For example, I think the audience would be keen to know about more on about the chat features, if there can be a role play conducted. And also another thing would be on exhibitor dashboard. This would be something that most of our audience are keen to know more about.
Okay, so I just want to, I believe there was, I'm just looking here, there was, Vig, maybe you can advise, or Chandru, was there another booth that was created for the chat experience, I believe?
Yep, so this big here. Yep, so we've created another booth just for the demo here today. All right, I'm going to just send you the details here right now.
Okay, so I'm in this booth. Am I still sharing? I believe I am.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Okay, perfect. So let's see.
So
okay, exhibit hall broadcast, Asia Entrada 1. Very nice. Is this here? Yeah.
That's
okay,
right.
Perfect. So perfect. So we'll give you a little taster of what the staffers have to deal with. So this is again, obviously the booth will be even more advanced than this, but what you have is opportunity to chat. So this would be a public chat. So I'm putting in something here, and Chandru, if you, yeah, perfect. And then let's see. So Chandru, let me see if you're in it. Okay, perfect. So Chandru is a guest, which is an attendee, whereas I am a staffer. Now, there's a few ways you can chat. As you could see, Vig has put in a message for me to privately chat, and I can accept or decline. If I accept it, we are now chatting. And I'm just waiting for Vig to accept the chat. So as soon as he accepts, we begin chatting. Okay, perfect. Hello. It's very, very simple tool. So, and you can invite other people to chat. You just search for them. It can be an attendee, it could be a fellow staffer. And you can adjust, again, always important to change the color and the font. This will be in more detail in the staffer training, but we just wanted to give you an understanding of that. And a few other things I want to point out. So let me just show you something here. You see how Chandru is hyperlinked. So I can actually click Chandru's profile and click on the bubble icon, which means that I'm requesting an opportunity to privately chat with him, so I can do that. I can send him an email, and I can also send him my virtual business card, which is why it's always a good idea to update your profile.
Ruth, sorry,
yeah.
we are not able to see the other screen. Probably it's coming in other screen which is showing it, the profile section.
You're not seeing my screen at all?
Yeah, we can see your screen, but when you click on the my name, right, the profile pop up, right, that we are not able to see.
Oh, how interesting. Okay. All right, let's just let me redo this for a moment and do a share again. And we'll just share the whole screen. So let me show you again. So when I click Chandru, and again, this is the staffer training. So I don't want to get too far into this, but the way that this would work is you click on the person's profile, you would start typing chats back and forth with them. You can invite them, invite other people to chat as well. You search for them, whoever is online. They could be an attendee, they could be a fellow staffer. And then we basically type our chats back and forth. We recommend to adjust your color and font so that you're easily distinguished. You can also send an email, and you can also send your virtual business card. So that provides a lot of really nice value here. So just to show you, that's really the way to chat. So again, you have the private chat, which you can utilize the public chat and go from private chats from there. So public chats are a great way to go back and forth and encourage people to talk. If somebody is online, it displays here. These are all your attendees and then all the staff display here. So I'm online, so I'm displaying here. So guests can also reach out to me. And the way people see that is from here. Now, in this example, as you can see, so this is also what the attendees would see with the name going across. But again, when you're a staffer for the booth, it will show no user, and that's not a mistake. That's how it purposely shows. This is conversely the dashboard. Again, it's the same exact thing, but what it did is basically take you out of your booth and show you this dashboard. So you basically, as a staffer, have two choices. You can look at pending chat requests, my active chats, and who's in there. And there's also a built-in area for you to chat with your fellow staffers. So that's pretty much how that works. It's very straightforward. But this is where your public chat is. But and it's really up to you what you feel is more comfortable. So you can, because the dashboard does the same exact thing as the private chat does. It both allows for private chatting, but the dashboard with the headset allows for more organization. So it just depends on what your preference is. You have two awesome choices to choose from. And as you can see, if you click here, the public chat is even bigger. And you can also delete people's chats. So that's fun. So you can do a few different things. So I can also show you the reports, but was there any other question before we continue? Okay. All right. So just go here. Just going to go to a back-end way for a second here and show you an example of what the sponsor reporting experience is. Okay. So the way that I would go in to see my reporting is very simple. So this is an example for you guys. So you get the data portal link, and it is again a universal link, so that makes it nice. But what's super cool is when you go in, you're only going to see the reports that are relevant for your particular booth. Now, for this, I put myself as a temporary staffer in two fake booths. So I basically will only see the reporting for those fake booths. So I'll see things related to American Express. I can see who visited the space, what documents were added to the briefcase, mail activity, and virtual card activity. So that's how the reporting works. Any further questions? Monica, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Well, there's a few questions in the group chat. One question is from Piera. Are we able to check who download our brochures on the dashboard? Basically, it's for lead retrieval.
I'm not sure well, in general, you can see, so here you can see what documents people added to their briefcase. So you can see here all the documents that were added.
Okay.
And here you can see all the tabs they visited. So that should give you an idea, you know, if you have depending on the tab, like the brochure tab, let's say, it'll show you who the people are. Monica, any other questions?
Yep, there's another question from Jeff. Is there a user manual for setup?
What does that mean?
Is there a user manual? So I guess this question was referring to what you mentioned previously, that Vignesh will be sending to the organizer a booth guide. So we will be sharing that with our audience for today in terms of the user manual. So I hope this will answer your question, Jeff.
Yeah, and Jeff, keep in mind that there is resources in the booth itself. So you have a help guide, a file size guide, and a system check. So these are really great step-by-step guides. The only caveat is that the video size has recently changed, and you can definitely go higher than 10 megabytes. You can go as long as you get under 500. But it's a very straightforward here in terms of your planning. The logo is 200 by 200. It has everything here. It's quite flexible. It has all sorts of documents, tells you all the different things that you can add. And there's also a like a quick 3D guide sheet that Vig also has as well that he can give out. Monica, any other questions?
Yep, there's another questions from Juliet's would be, can we add a video in a specific tab, not only in the video collection tab?
That's a great question. That's a great question, because what do you do in situations like that? Because then that's where you put your creativity to work. So the video collection is all in one library, and not like the documents and links where you could separate and mix and match in different tabs. The video collection is a collection, and it can only go into one tab. However, in situations like that, that's where if you have YouTube or another website that houses your video, you can put in a link. You could still have it save video. The tab could still save video, but it will take people to that YouTube video or to that website that has your video. So that's some workarounds that you can make that work for you.
Great. Any other questions from the floor?
Hi, Monica. I think there's actually a lot of questions in the chat box. I've typed in a few and I've seen quite a few others, so I'm not sure if you're monitoring that, but there's like a good at least 10 questions there.
Okay, I'm trying to scroll because believe the team have answered some of the questions already. So I guess most of the questions would be when can I get the ID, login ID. Most of you have already been sent, we have sent to most of you on the staff ID, on the admin ID already. In the event, if you still have not received our email for whichever reason, please contact the organizers and we'll be happy to resend the emails or release the login for you.
Will there be staffer training? I think that there was mention of staffer training. Is that another webinar that you're going to be holding?
That probably will be another video that we will be sharing. It will not be a live training sessions. We will be sharing more details on that later on. Yeah.
And who's the point person if we have if ourselves or our companies have problems with the booth setup? Who's our point person for questions?
We will ask that you reach out to your sales representatives, and we will consolidate all the questions for you guys.
And so who do we reach out to? I'm the lead for the Ontario Pavilion. So who's my point person then?
So your point of persons would be.
Sorry, yeah, I was just going to say, hi, Eve. You can still continue to reach out to myself and Susan, no problem.
Okay, great.
Any other questions that I've missed, or sorry?
Oh, no, sorry, Monica. I just wanted to also show you just a couple of different ideas of what other people did with their booths, if this also helps for you to see what other people have done. Okay, that's all. So here's just a few other booths, just different things that they've done. It's amazing what color can do. Let me see what I'll show you one more here. Oh, Yelp. Oh. So some people do a lot and some people don't. I would have thought Yelp would do a little bit more. So there's a lot of things here. Here's the front screen. And then here's the chat room. Club walkthrough, which is really, it's really just outside. It's external URLs, but you could basically, so and that also increases what you can do. So if you decide you want to go to any external site, you can totally do that and just link it to a tab. But I just wanted to show a few more examples if that was helpful.
Where's the live video chat? So not, actually live video as opposed to chat.
We don't have a live video chat. We have text chatting, if that's what you meant. Yeah.
Yes.
But what I would recommend is that you can use one of these tabs, let's say for Zoom or for something else, and you could even say 2 p.m., chat with Ron, and then people click it, it goes to the Zoom link, etc. So because you have the access to the external URLs, you can still pretty much link out to any kind of conferencing feature. Just like with the public chat or a private chat, you can paste any link in that chat, and then you can, as a workaround, do a video chat from there, to whatever that site is that has the video chat. So I think that's a great question, because if you want to plan for something like that, it's always nice if you can plan for advance for added promotional value, for the tab, for the messaging that goes across in the marquee, that sort of thing. Any
Hi,
other
Ruth.
questions? Yeah.
Yeah, we've received another questions. I think it was a bit unclear when it comes to the social media part. If you can walk us through on that, on the social media tab.
The social media tab, I'll need to send something. Well, there's a little bit that you could do with that. There are some workarounds right now happening with Twitter. So that's something that Vig can send you some information on. It's not our platform, but Twitter, there's a way that it's working right now where there is a workaround that you have to put in place. So we can definitely send that. But I could show you what, am I not sharing anymore? This is in my way. Let me see if I go to the Space Builder tool, to social media, to tab. Let's go to there, add new, social media, and you could put in your tweets, is what you can do. And you can, I don't believe that Facebook is actually working right now, to be frank with you. There is, that's not, again, the platform, it has to do with securities with Facebook and so forth. But you can put in a Twitter. There is a workaround for that, which is something that Vig can send you. But it does allow for some social media.
Is there questions on, is there LinkedIn?
No, there's no LinkedIn, but you could always put in a tab, put in your external link to your LinkedIn page, and that's the workaround that you can use to get there.
Okay.
And when we organize our events, whether they're pre-recorded or live, is it all about, again, putting the links in the tabs on the right-hand side? You know, I think some will be broadcast from our booth and others from the theater. Could you sort of talk a little bit more about how that might work?
I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure I understand the question.
So we're all going to be doing events to try to drive traffic to our booths. Some will be pre-recorded and some will be live. And I think some will be broadcast from our booth and others from the theater. I wasn't sure how the whole events broadcasting side of things would work.
Yeah, so that the booth is very specific to what it can do, but I don't know if Monica or Vig, if you want to talk more about the overall event experience.
Sorry, was that Eve? Can you repeat your question? Sorry about that.
Yeah, so again, it's just regarding events that we're going to be generating, and some will be live and some will be pre-recorded. So I'm just wondering, are we broadcasting them from our booth, some from the theater? I'm not totally clear about how we launch or broadcast, and then, you know, whether that relates to the tabs on the right-hand side where you said, you know, you say you put in a link to Zoom, for example, and, you know, come to our event at 2 o'clock and you put in a link to Zoom. Or if you could just talk a little bit about how the broadcasting of our events will work.
Right. So if you have like a webinar or pre-recorded, that is exactly where it's going to be at your booth. And then on the, sorry, Ruth, if you can share screenshots of the booth on one of the items.
Yeah, sure. And any booth,
Thank
right?
you. Yeah, I believe it's on Document and Link tab.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
One moment. Okay, so, and you see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to see examples from the
Space Builder.
Yeah, sure. go back to that. So when you go to documents and links, this allows you the ability to add outside links, external URLs, and so forth, and documents. And then and then you basically go to the tab, add new, put in the title, and then you pick from the documents and links that you've selected, that you've either loaded or are external URLs.
Okay, so I guess that's for the pre-recorded. And what about for sort of live events? How does that relate to the booth?
So Ruth, for the live event, I think she's referring to the Zoom URL.
So the booths are not related to webcasts. But if you did want to, let's say, have your own Zoom meeting, what you could do is put in a tab, add new, and then put in a URL to Zoom or to whatever you wanted. And that would be a workaround way that when people click that tab, they would then go to your outside external Zoom link. But otherwise, if you're talking about, webcasts in the event, that is where, and Dig or Monica can talk more on that, obviously, is where attendees would navigate outside of your booth to the various theaters to look at the webcasts.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Eve?
Yeah, I think once we get into more, into the nitty gritty, I'll just check in with Fraser and others and just get more detail. But that's a good orientation. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, so there are other questions regarding what is the difference between the chat feature in Intrado versus the chat features on Grip. So basically on the Intrado platform, anyone who would, like any visitors or VIP that walk into the booth, you can start doing the chat features. Whereby for Grip platform, what you can do is anybody, it can attract people that may not be passing by your booth, but are actually online. You can actually schedule a meeting with them and start the chat features. So that would be the two differences. One is a very proactive approach, one is a very passive approach. Right? And so there's questions on whether there will be a training on the networking tools. Unfortunately, we have shared with everyone on the exhibitor manuals, and on the exhibitor manuals, there are actually some video link where it shows you how to use the Grip. How do you log in? How do you set your profile? How do you schedule a meeting? And I believe it's very self-explanatory, but in the event if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the contact persons on the exhibitor manual. Okay, and questions from Mario is, any best practice to make video smoother when playing automatically on the booth? Ruth, would you have an answer for that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say as a best practice, you, in general, and you also want to be cognizant of what people's bandwidth are, the attendees, where are they located? Is the internet connection typically high or low? And then I would say that you want to have videos of a lower bit rate to accommodate for that bandwidth. So I would say a good rule of thumb, although things have gotten better in different parts of the world, is probably a overall combined video and audio bit rate of about 500 data bit rate. When you go too high, depending on the person's connectivity, it could be fine, but and we don't delve too much into this because that's not what we talk about with the platform. But I could just tell you from my own personal experience that when you go too high, like over 1,000 bit rate and that sort of thing, that's where people who do have low connectivity, they may get some buffering. So to ensure little buffering, especially if people are in Asia or Europe, anything like around 400 combined video audio bit rate is good. And of course, if you are a common use case for your area, load the video and see how it works for you. But just in general, we wouldn't recommend videos that were too big for the booth anyway. When they get too big, then they're really meant to be a webcast. So, you know, what my personal rule of thumb is 100 megabyte video usually is nice and tidy. But if you do want to put something that's much bigger, you can. But again, under 500, and it will take a while to load.
Thank you, Ruth. So I hope that will answer tomorrow's questions. Another question from Xiao Fan is, so we're not able to build the booth between 21st to 28. So the hardcore deadlines would be September 22nd. So anytime between 22nd to before the event's first day would be the 29th. The supporting team will do a round of testings. So there will not be any changes allowed after this period. So we encourage everyone to update all the content to the best of their ability by the 22nd.
Okay.
And in terms of engagement with other exhibitors, so in the timeline, so I understand we have our login, we will start building our booth next week. We'll then be able to use Grip to contact other exhibitors up to the 21st, if I'm not mistaken. And then following the 21st, the platform opens to the public. And then
Yes,
you're saying
correct.
from the 21st to the 28th, we can't make changes to our booths. Is that correct?
So we're talking about two different platforms. The questions that was raised by Xiaofan was regarding to Intrado, where is a booth building platform. But the questions that was raised earlier was talking about Grip, another platform, the business matching platform. So for the business matching platform, we are opening to the public on the 21st.
And we will be able to contact exhibitors prior to, what I understood is from by next week, we can start to contact other exhibitors on Grip, on the B2B platform.
You will be able to chat. You will be able to chat and schedule meeting, but the meeting will only take place as early as September 29th.
Oh, that wasn't clear. Okay.
Yes.
So we're not able to start using it as we would during the show.
You can schedule. You can start scheduling, but the actual meeting will only take place starting on September 29 up to October 7.
And that includes when the public has access on the 21st, they can find us, but we can't be using Grip actively from the 21st when it opens to the public either.
So what it means is that on 21st, you know that the public, let's say the visitor VIP, the rest of the entire universe will have access to Grip. That's when the visitors will be, they will have access. You can start scheduling a meeting. So the meeting will only take place starting on the 29th, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
But they'll be able to see our booths, engage. Like
the booth will be in a different platform. The booth will be in Intrado. So the question that you were asking is referring to Grip, right?
No, I understand there's two platforms, but I'm just saying once they sign in via Grip,
right?
They're basically okay. Anyway, they'll have access to both. They'll be able to see our pavilion.
They will not be able to see the booth because we want the Intrado team to check thoroughly before we present it to the public. But what they will see is when they go into Grip, they will see the list of exhibitors on the platform, and they can schedule a meeting.
Okay, but we'll have to do it outside the platform.
On Grip, yes.
Okay, I think I got it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. I do need to drop, but Monica, I didn't know if you wanted to continue, if there were any other non-training questions that you wanted to review.
I think this will be pretty much it. So after the sessions, we will be including everyone in this sessions. We will be emailing them this recorded sessions along with some of the guide that Intrado team will be sharing with us. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of the contact in the exhibitor manual. Great. So we'd like to thank you, Intrado and Ruth, for your time today.
Yeah, my pleasure. And thank you, everyone, for joining today. And best of success on booth building. I hope you'll have a really fun and great experience and a wonderful show to be a part of. So, and thanks, Monica, for putting this all together for everyone.
No problem. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.